You look more energetic now than earlier when you used to be in US. So you literally moved from US, you went to Canada, and you got the US driver's license, switched to the Canadian driver's license, and all of this happened in like 5 minutes.
I took 3 hours flight. That took 3 hours.
Wherever you go in the world, always find Indian English over there.
People tell when a US election comes up, everything get fixed. Toronto International Film Festival is happening right now, and I went yesterday.
Oh, you went to the International Film Festival? How was
Yeah.
it? Have you seen maple leaves? Because you are in Canada.
You find it everywhere. You come from US, probably maintain a good credit report. You need to be very, very careful. I'm seeing a lot of scams happening around those.
My surname as my channel name, just to make sure that it is unique. Abhishek is a very common name, and you are literally the only person whom I know who calls me with that name. So
Probably a lot of Abhisheks in my contact.
oh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have another special guest with me, my friend Dharun Selvan. He is a very good friend of mine and an even better person, has helped me in many things. He used to be in US, now he moved to Canada. He was in India earlier, so he knows the best of these three worlds. So in this particular podcast, he is willing to share the information about these three worlds, and hopefully we can get some useful information out of him. Hi Darun, welcome to my channel.
Hi, Vandadi. That was a very nice introduction. Sorry, I call you Vandadi. I always call you Vandadi, but I
Yeah,
try to call
your
you
wish. You feel free to
Abhishek.
call me anything you want.
Yeah, I'll try to call you
The
Abhishek.
channel's name is One That Is Diary.
And it's fine, I guess. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good, good. Sunday, so calm.
You look more energetic now than earlier when you used to be in US.
Uh, Maybe that's because of the event that's going on. So I'm keep jumping between the events right now, but try to stop going out.
Nice. Okay, can we start with a brief introduction about you to our viewers?
My name is Dharun Selvan. I was born and brought up in Tamil Nadu. Did my undergrad in Tamil Nadu. Worked there for 6 months before coming to US. I came US in 2019. That's where I met you in 2020. I think
Right.
after coming 6 months through Vallab, your
Yeah.
previous video. Uh, so I met you in 2020. Landed in Chicago, lived there for a couple of years. Then for a job, I moved to Houston. Then lived there for 3 years. Then after 5 years in US, I moved to Toronto, Canada. It's been a month, more than a month now.
Awesome. Yeah, that was one hell of an introduction. And of course, it was a roller coaster ride as well, right?
Yeah, it's always never allows me to settle. The Western
Yeah.
life never allow anyone to settle that easily. It's a part of life. It became a part of life. So nothing to
Yeah.
do.
And you are like a strong guy, so I know you can like face any kind of challenges or changes in your life. So I'm pretty confident that anything the life offers you, you just take it and give your best.
Hopefully, I'm trying to I'm trying to keep everything together.
I know
And
you will. I know you will because I know you very well.
thank you.
Yeah, so coming to the questions. So how different is living in Canada now that you have moved out of US? So how would you compare it with US or even back in India?
I mean, India and West has a lot of differences, obviously,
Right.
especially if you come from Tamil Nadu, which is still I consider is very conservative
Yeah.
compared to the US. Even if I lived in Texas, people call Texas as conservative. Then if you live in Tamil Nadu probably become more conservative. Like you can see the difference. But between US and Canada, culture-wise, there's very slight difference. Not much. You'll see all the American companies, or even the streaming services or TV. You don't see much differences. The architectures, everything will look similar, except you see a lot more immigrants in Canada.
Oh, a lot more immigrants?
Yeah, Uh, City is so vibrant, and the other thing is, U.S. is vast, so your population is spread across the country, whereas Canada is like much colder. So all your population is near the U.S. Border. So majority
Border.
of the population lives in U.S. borders. So the density I feel so much. Toronto's probably has more populated. It's more populated than Chicago, I guess, 2.9 million people. So you'll see too many people, but little more congested, but much safer. That's the
Oh, that's
that's
a big thing. That was supposed to
I
be
mean,
my next
I
question,
don't
actually.
say
Go ahead.
there's no crimes happening. There is crime happening, but when I see the crimes happening, or I was a victim, you know, when the crime happened in U.S. compared to what's happening in Canada, Canada is nothing. Probably I feel more safer. So
Okay.
those other, since that's what I said. It's a mix between U.S. and British and some Indians coming in. So you see all the Indian food and everywhere. So it's like it's a true metropolitan city, like very much.
Nice. I mean, that was. I'm really happy that it's not much different for you to move from US to Canada. I guess, right? I mean, there are certain differences, but on a large level,
But it will be easier. Like if you
easier.
lived in
Okay.
USA, if you lived in USA, probably very easier to live in Canada than for someone who directly come into Canada, because uh, people directly coming from India, they need to go through a lot of process to get their license. I just came in, I
You mean the
hand over.
driver's license?
Yeah, I just gave my Texas license and got Ontario's license. I just spent like 5 minutes in SATA.
So you literally moved from US, you went to Canada, and you got your driver's license. The US driver's license switched to the Canadian driver's license, and all of this happened in like 5 minutes.
I mean, I took 3 hours flight. That took 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean the process of the like the license switch.
Yeah, the process of license took only 5 minutes. I went there. I had an appointment at 3:30 or something. I went there at 3:30. They called me at 3:32. They saw my Texas license. They took a picture. They did an eye test, and they gave me paper, the temporary paper which we used to get in US. Same similar like, but the only difference is uh, the states which I got licensed, Texas or Illinois, they always give license based on your work permit or your
Yes. Hmm.
I-20s.
Yeah,
But here by default, they are giving you 5 years.
by default.
Yeah, I don't know that's good or bad, but by default, they are giving 5 years. Even though my work permit is only for 3 years. So
Nice.
that's it.
So since we have like bought this topic about work permits, what is a Canadian work permit, and do we have like similar restrictions such as which we have in the US work permit, which is the H-1B visa or the L-1 visa?
Like US, here also there are multiple different varieties of work permit.
Okay.
Uh, there are closed work permit and there are open work permit. Open work permit is basically usually students post their graduation work, they get it, or the spouses usually get uh, their work permit and open work permit, which means you can go and work for any employees. But then there is closed work permit. That's what usually people gets when they are directly coming for work.
Okay.
But it also depends on your company. Your company might sponsor you open work permit. Some companies will only offer you closed work permit. But for my visa, they provided me closed work permit, which means I'm entitled to only work for the company I'm currently in.
Okay.
But again, within the closed work permit, there are couple of branches, I guess. There's labor impact analysis, LMIA. Uh, certain visas need LMIA, but certain professionals don't need a LMIA if you're able to prove that you are extraordinary in your field. So if you have an exempt for that LMIA, you get your visa in 2 weeks, which I got my visa. Like they applied, I gave my blood works, like you need to provide your health reports.
Okay.
Post that, I think I got my work permit in 2 weeks. Uh, but again, as I said, it depends on your company and your profile as well. I cannot say which visa you will get, but it's always good to consider, uh, you know, immigration people, immigration attorneys before you make a decision,
Hmm.
or your company will tell you uh, what you can do or what you
Hmm.
cannot do.
That's a lot of information. Thanks for that. And do you feel like the immigration in Canada is more relaxed than the immigration in US?
I'm not able to exactly tell yes or no. Probably yes, because I didn't go through interview or something. That's maybe because I'm exempt from that LMIA. I got only 2 weeks. I mean, I'm exempted from most of the stuffs than a regular work permit. So my work permit was, it's very easy to process. They just put an application, filled out. But my lawyers took care of everything. They submitted like hundreds of pages of documents. Uh, it's only application process, but I think it's usually only application process. You don't go through interviews, I guess. So comparatively, that's less, and especially if you come from US, someone has already stayed in US who's already in H1 or F1, who got a work permit here. That makes so much easier, I guess, than for someone coming from India.
Makes sense. So, on the same board, do you know if students who come to Canada can work part time outside of the universities? Is that legal?
It's legal. They can work, but I think they used to work for 40 hours. I think last August end they changed it to 24 hours or 20 hours. I'm not sure. Close to 20 to 25 hours. They reduced the total time you can work out. Uh, I'm not sure how much is the limit within the campus.
Oh, okay. So, but still, students can work outside, which is
Students
something that
can work.
yeah. So the next question that I would want to ask is, how is the cost of living in Canada when you compare it with US?
Cost of living overall, it's pretty high, I guess. But again, I'm living in Toronto. I said, which is
One
bigger,
of the biggest cities in Canada.
probably the biggest in Canada. So it's pretty high. Not as much as in LA or California side, but it's still on the costlier side. But the major difference, what I'm seeing is like if you live in a city like Chicago or Houston, you'll find a apartment costly in downtown or uptown, but when you move to suburbs, you see the apartments prices goes down. Like it will be
Yes.
cheaper to live in a suburb.
Yeah.
I don't see that's in Canada. And when I spoke with people, they said it's a recent trend. Wherever you live, you probably still pay the same amount of rent, uh, but probably your houses will be 100 square feet bigger in suburbs, or you probably get a free parking. That's it.
Oh, okay.
That's another reason I said, okay, let me stay in downtown. So I'm going to pay the same rent and pay for,
Yeah.
travel. Rather, I just stay in downtown. But housing crisis is crazy. It is so hard to easily find an apartment, especially, I'm coming from US, coming with already a credit history.
Yeah.
And to show that I have a job, it still took almost 15 days,
Oh,
20 days for me to find an apartment. Me after landing, it took 4 or 5 days. I had to roam around and try to pick the apartment. And if you
apartment.
don't have like that, in US, your apartments are managed by property management companies. So it's easy. You apply, you go see the apartment. If you like it, you apply, you get it. That's it. So here it's like like Indian way. Like people own the apartment, they are trying to rent it out, and the tenants they usually apply. And government policy is mostly supporting the tenants.
Okay.
So there is always differences in the renter and the rentees. So they're striking the middle ground is so hard.
Yeah.
Like there is open
Trying to take it.
negotiations happens very easily here. Like people tell
Oh,
2,200 first, then goes to 2,300, then goes to 2,400.
oh my
Like
God.
I'm seeing
Must
so
be
much of
hard.
those things. Yeah.
So, because you have a work permit in Canada, which is a closed work permit, can you travel to US with that work permit, or would it make anything easier, like getting a tourist visa in US or something like that?
Uh, it it will be easier for me because I stayed 5 years there. Uh,
Mhm.
Once you completed 5 years in US, and if you come to Canada right now, the situation is all you need to do is apply. You can apply for a B1 or B2 as a for a visitor visa, you don't need to go through interview. You get an interview
Oh.
accept. So which means you get your visa in 20 days. I mean, you need
Oh.
to still submit your financials and all those stuffs. So you get your visa soon rather than waiting for a interview. Whereas the interview wait list is almost 400 days.
Oh my God.
So if I directly come from Canada, then trying to get into US as a visitor, probably it will take another 1.5 years for me to get visa. But for me, it's easier because I have my credit history or a criminal history already with
Yeah.
US government. So they
Obviously,
need
a
to
clean
just run through.
history. You have a
Yeah,
clean history, though. Yeah.
yeah, I have the history. So they need to run through my probably my social security and say, oh, okay, he's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I say it's easier if you lived in US and then come to Canada. Easier to get back B1, B2 visa. For any other visa, it's you need to go through the same process. If you are applying for a F1 or a
F1.
H1, it's the same process as others.
Okay. So not much difference, but yeah, with for the visitors visa, probably it could be a little bit more easier in terms of the process.
Yeah, a little relaxed.
Yeah, little bit more relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit.
So how is the job situation over there?
I mean, I came with a job. I s- I had a job as a data analyst back in US. Then for a different project, they sent me here. So I had a job which was secured and uh, leading the project. So I'm saying
So how is the job situation for someone uh, who is like who wants to come to Canada as a student and then wants to work over there or settle down over there?
same as not or much worse than US. I'm
Much
saying
worse?
yes. I'm saying so many students post their graduation still didn't get a job. I think part of the bubble burst happened in US. It
Yeah.
affected Canada very much as well. Plus ongoing, geopolitical tensions affected
Mhm.
Canada's economy as well. So the job opportunities are not so great as of now, but that doesn't mean there is no job in the market. There are jobs, but it's so hard to get it because there are so many people right now in the job market trying for the same jobs. Uh, so right now, I tell you, I'm not able to recommend anyone, but maybe you should ask or see how the trend is for next 3 4 months. You'll get to know because usually people tell when a US election comes up, everything get fixed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if US get fixed, that means every economy will slowly get up.
Yeah.
So we might wait until US elections to see. But you can come, you can study. But I think Canadian government itself started restricting students coming in
Mhm.
because of the too much immigrations happened in the past
Mhm.
few years. So if you get it, come. But I recommend stay in India or just try somewhere else.
That's understandable. So, because you have come to US on student visa and then you worked in US for some time and then you moved to Canada. So, what advice would you give to someone who is in India and wants to study abroad and then work in one of these two countries? Which one do you think would be
I think the
better
first
right
one,
now in the current scenario?
yeah, the first one, what I did or you did, or most of our circle did is came here without much work experience,
Right, right.
which put a lot of struggle to get your job. Probably if you
True.
have 2 or 3 years of experience, then you get into these countries, then did your masters. It'll be easier for anyone to land in a job because you already have 3 years of experience. And if you, on top of it, if you do internship, that's added value. You can get into, get into the flow.
Mhm.
That's probably the biggest advice I would give. I mean, I'm seeing people still coming in, they are getting succeeded. That's not for everyone what I'm telling, but if you're someone who's already working for a couple of years, then thinking maybe should I go or not, you can come. That's very easy for you to get in and get a job. than for someone who just recently graduated their undergrad and directly coming here. Or if you have a plan of doing PhD, yeah, you can come. For masters, you might think twice before coming in.
So which one among these two countries, US and Canada, would you suggest to someone who wants to come here to study and then work here and settle down here?
It depends on your preferences. Obviously, US is US, Canada's Canada. No offense for both countries, but uh, I think the quality of education itself is differs in both countries.
Right.
I have a very limited instructions, by the way. Canada is pretty good for business educations, but the technology wise, there are only few universities you can pick it up. Like if you're coming for computer science or data science, you can only pick up a couple of, or maybe 4 or 5 universities. But if you take US, you have like tons and tons of universities you can choose from. And if you're someone who could come in to get your education done and go back, probably you need to choose US. But if you want to try to, come
Settle
settle,
down or something? Yeah.
maybe Canada, but both countries are not in great form right now.
I mean, not much difference. If you want to settle down, I think
I
there's
think the
not much.
cost wise, Canada is a little cheaper in the terms of education. But
Oh, in
again,
terms of education.
you need to be very, very careful. I'm seeing a lot of scams happening around those
Hmm.
compared to US. I mean, US, if you try to scam, probably half of the visas will get rejected in interviews.
Yeah.
But here, after I'm seeing like a lot of people coming here and they found out their university is not something they saw in the flyers or websites.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they need to do some extensive research, try to connect with the people or students in the LinkedIn, make sure the university actually exists or actually exists like how they pretend in
Yeah.
the flyers or websites, and make sure your field of education works out in
Makes
US or Canada. For this is for both the countries
yeah. Makes sense.
or any country.
Any country. Think fits for any country. Yeah, thank you for giving that information. So you have been in US just like I have, and during our student days, like we used to receive some scam calls, right? Like SSN related scams or IRS related scams. Somebody calls from a different country. Most likely it's gonna be from India. Although we are from India, no offense, but yeah, most likely it is from India. And they try to target the students, and they try to, like, grab the sensitive information, things like that. Did you see any of that happening in when you moved to Canada as well?
I'm not sure. I'm still getting American calls. I didn't change my phone number yet.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm still using US phone number. I don't think so. I'll change because my plan covers both countries and
Oh, okay.
probably the whole North America. So I'm not planning to change my phone number. I'm not sure. I
But did
guess,
you hear any
but
of
I
that
think
from
I mean
anyone?
probably there will be, but I think most probably they target America. I'm not sure whether those kind of scams happen. I'm not sure. I'm still using my US number. So all the scam calls, basically they call me. I'm like, hey, are you in Texas? This is where you're doing. Can you give me your computer is being attacked or some random things they'll say. But it's more likely to target the US audience since I'm using a US phone number.
Makes sense. So you are using a US phone number, right? So how was that even possible? Like, how many networks in US exist in Canada as well?
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, the mobile networks are completely different.
Uh-huh.
US, we have chains AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon. None of those exist here. But if you are in AT&T, and if you're in unlimited plan, which I'm in, so you get unlimited roaming in Canada and Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So you need to still pay your bills in US dollars, but you can roam unlimited. The plan is basically unlimited internet. You can still use unlimited internet here.
So what kind of OTTs which you had in US are also available in Canada?
The major players
Almost
are
everything?
no, not everyone's. The major players are here. Amazon Prime, of course, and Netflix. But other than that, I'm seeing Disney Plus. But Disney Plus here is basically a bundle of Hulu and Disney Plus in US. So you get all
Oh,
your everything in Disney Plus. and there is no HBO here. Instead, you have something called Crave, I guess. So
Uh-huh.
it's pretty much the costliest OTT. Paramount Plus is there, but again, the Hotstar is a separate entity. It's not in Hulu anymore. So it's Hotstar, you have it separate.
So the movies available on these platforms. So let us say something like a Hotstar platform. Those would be available in Hulu in the US. So is it the same in Canada as well?
Yeah, more or less, I think, but probably Hulu doesn't have their older collections.
Okay.
Some of the TV shows and uh, reality shows, they don't have the older seasons or older shows. Hotstar still has those. Hotstar is basically you use the Indian version without any Hollywood movies,
What
with
about
only the Indian.
Netflix? Does Netflix has a similar collection for US and Canada?
No, no. A lot of movies are different. I think it's their licensing turns everything. As I said, there is no HBO Max here, so
Uh-huh.
which means HBO Max movies. The HBO originals and the Warner Bros. Are with Crave, but the other movies Max had has been licensed to some other OTT platform. You probably might find it in Amazon Prime or uh, Netflix. Uh,
Nice.
so it's a little different. And Canada has its own OTTs as well. Like
Okay.
Crave
Interesting.
is something, then Stat TV. But IPTVs are very popular, uh, which is illegal, so I don't recommend.
Yeah, that's true. IPTVs, no.
Yeah.
We never used it, so we wouldn't recommend anyone else to use it as well. So moving on to the next question, how is the climate of Canada when you compare it with US? It looks much more colder.
I mean, I lived in Chicago, so you know the Chicago temperature.
Yeah.
So probably colder than Chicago, but not windier. Chicago is
Okay.
so much windier than any other cities I lived in, at least. I said
True
Chennai
that.
is usually windy,
Mhm.
but Chicago is more windy. Um it will be cold, obviously. Not like in Houston, it's completely opposite. I lived in Houston for the last 3 years. It's completely opposite of what I'm
Hot weather.
used to live in. Yeah, it's on the other end, like too hot, and winters is probably you know what, here and there it might go freezing, but here only the summers you'll see the clear sky and you can walk outside. Other than that, every season will going to be cold. Probably winters is going to be worse, full of snows and stuff. Like, uh, so I'm looking forward for winter after 3 years, more than 3 years now, I guess, after 3.5
Because you
years.
have been in Houston and now you've moved
Yeah, I mean, I visited Chicago during last year winter, but that's for only a couple of days. Unfortunately, when I came, it's nothing. There's no snow or nothing. But I think this year it's going to be worse for me.
So are you a cold weather person or a hot weather person?
Cold weather.
Cold weather person.
I can.
You prefer cold weather?
Yeah, you can wear even 5 jackets on top of it and can withhold. Hot, you can't do anything.
Yeah, like probably a three-piece jacket with some thermals inside and have to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So there are some states in Canada which border with US, and you said that those are the states, or what do you call that, province, I guess,
Yeah,
instead of state?
provinces.
Yeah, provinces which border US states. So do you think those states or those provinces, I should say, are more developed than the other parts of Canada?
Yeah, obviously. The the major reason is weather. Probably you go more higher and higher. Your winters or even your fall is
Even
going
worse?
to be
Yeah.
harsher.
Mhm.
Uh, and most of the stuffs comes from US.
Okay.
We Canada imports a lot of things from US, so you get most of the things, like the Detroit route. If you come from Chicago, Detroit route is the easier way, or from New York, your Buffalo route, Niagara Falls, and get into the Buffalo route. So through road or train is the major transport for between US and Canada. So they try. Uh, if you see historically, people tends to settle based on your transportation. And when you automatically get most of the stuffs from the neighboring country, the more population settles towards
Settles down
the,
there because there's more
and
work to do.
your climate is also probably less harsher than the other parts of the country. So that's the major reason I would say, uh, Toronto or Vancouver is directly above Seattle, or this one is directly above Buffalo. Then we have Montreal, not directly above, but it's still a couple of,
Sure.
it's closer.
So I've heard that in Canada there are certain provinces where English may not be the main language that is spoken. There are some other languages such as French or Spanish. Is that like correct?
Yeah, not Spanish, French. Quebec is uh, Quebec used to be a French colony, I guess,
Mhm.
before their independence, and they still speak a lot of French. If you're trying to apply for a job in Quebec, the French is one of the requirement to be
Oh,
applied
okay.
for a job. At least 80% or 90% of the the what do you say? The
The
job
Quebec province.
descriptions itself will be in French, not in
Okay.
English.
Okay.
Or sometimes they will put both, and the first point will be like you should be able to speak both English and French.
Yeah, makes sense.
French preferred.
French
Uh,
preferred.
French preferred. Uh,
Okay.
that's Quebec is completely French populated. Even the F1 Grand Prix, they call it as Grand Prix du Canada.
Okay.
Like it's a French version.
French word. Okay.
They don't say Canadian Grand Prix. They say Grand Prix du Canada.
Oh, okay. That's
So
like in the French, right?
in the French, so French is officially one of the official language in Canada. You might see a lot of French people here, but again, you might see a lot of Punjabis, you might see a lot of Tamils, you might see I see a lot of Arabics, I see a lot of Portuguese. See so many people coming from so many different countries and state in this country.
Nice. So moving on to the next question, how is the food?
Oh,
In
food is
US,
love.
you never. I don't think in US you miss the Tamil food, right? Like most of your favorite Tamil food was available here,
Uh,
if not in the
in
same.
Chicago, I missed. In Chicago, I missed. I didn't find
Okay.
one good Indian restaurant. I mean, at least for me, as a like, I used to eat a lot of proper South Indian food. There are a few Hyderabadi restaurants that saved my days sometimes, but proper Tamil foods, no.
Okay.
But Houston is completely a different arena. There are like so much of proper South Indian restaurants that there. So plus, I started used to cooking. Used to get. I started cooking by myself when I used to live in Chicago. When you don't find a good biryani
Good
outside,
Indian restaurant.
good
Yeah.
Indian food. So I learned how to cook. I think that continued for 5 years. But Toronto is now my favorite food city. It is so vibrant. I don't want to compare with Chicago, but I might say it's one mark I can give higher to Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Varieties of foods and the quality. Uh, the price wise, it's still same or maybe sometimes costly. But again, you find more varieties of food or more varieties of the restaurant. And let's say in Chicago, if you want to take, you know, the Kerala style food, you probably need to go to Niles or Scanback
Yeah.
or
The
Nepal.
suburbs. Yeah.
Yeah, the suburbs. Here, nothing like that. Every couple of streets, you find one different Indian restaurant or two or three. Like if you go to maps and try to find Indian restaurant, you might probably find 15 to 20 around you within 5-10 minutes walk. So so much vibrant. It's not only for Indian food. You might see Mexican food, you might see Jamaican food, you might see Japanese food. Like it's so vibrant for the foods.
That's good. I'm really happy for you on that aspect, at least. So, I know that you are a very big movie lover and you try to catch as many movies as you can, and you used to do that even when you are in US. So, how is that in Canada? Like, are you able to watch all of the movies, or let me put it in this way. Do all of the Tamil movies release in Canada just like how they release in US?
It does, but I think only the major, like the bigger movies getting released in the downtown area. But
Okay.
movies getting released, there are some theaters which is in Brampton or Scarborough, like literally dedicated only for the Indian movies. So every movies will get released. And for other Indian movies, other than Indian movies, I think I have a theater just like 5 minutes walk
Oh,
right
okay.
behind my Cineplex estate, or 10 minutes walk another theater. I mean, I'm in Toronto. Toronto Film International Film Festival is happening right now, and I went yesterday.
Oh, you went to the International Film Festival? How was
Yeah,
it?
it's good. I went to Superboys of Malagan, uh, which is getting released in late this year or early next year, I guess, January 25. It's premiered in the Toronto Film Festival. I happened to see the whole cast and the directors. The movie is good. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's based on a short film called Superman of Malagan.
Oh, okay.
There is one more movie I missed, but that's on happened on a weekday. I couldn't go. But a lot of celebrities were here. Sydney Sweeney, or Selena Gomez was here. Like
Oh,
so many. Toronto's right now busy or vibrant with the film
with
festival.
celebs?
It's ending today. Sad, but it is a busy two
I
weeks.
wish I was a part of that. You would have definitely taken me if I was in Canada.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of movies. Like I saw 3 movies. All of them are really good. Uh, I mean, there are hundreds of movies totally scattered. They took like 3 or 4 theaters, and they selected movies from all over the world to cast. So almost 20 to 25 movies got premiered, or no, not 25. 12 movies got premiered in the Toronto Film Festival. I guess I think, and Superboys of Malakan is one of those.
Awesome, awesome. I'm happy that you were able to catch most of them.
Yeah.
So,
And
mhm.
the fun fact is, the most of the New York based movies were
Mhm.
shot in Toronto.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because the skylines look similar, and the
Yeah,
other
of course.
reason I
Yes.
think the tax, I think the Canadian government won't put you any tax for shooting the movie if 50% of your movie crew is basically if you hired them from Canada.
Oh,
So most of the shots were seen in Toronto were showed as New York in Hollywood movies.
oh my
So
God.
that's something I learned after coming here, which is,
That's a crazy information.
yeah.
Oh, nice. So, moving on to the next question. So, you have been in Chicago. Chicago has amazing ground transport. Then you move to Houston. Houston, the ground transport is not as good as Chicago. Let us put it in that way.
That's no ground transportation. That is ground transportation.
Yeah.
Like, very
So,
rarely you'll find some buses, but other than that, there is no much in Houston.
yeah. So, how is the ground transportation in Toronto now that you are there?
Ah, good question. Toronto ground transportation actually rated the best in the North America.
Oh, wow.
But if you see the number of lines in Chicago or New York, if you compare, it's nothing because Toronto only has 3 or 4 train routes,
Uh huh.
but they still rated as the best because of their connections. They nicely planned for every stops, which stops they need to go through. I think the yellow line is the only one that's long enough. All other subway lines are like very small lines connecting only fewer parts. It's not like Chicago Loop where you might get into one point and you will see all the trains coming to that point. That won't happen here. I mean, there is still a Union Station where all the trains will start from, but that's not the station where you see all your subway trains will get in. Because only one subway trains get through the Union Station. That's the yellow line.
Okay.
Um, but the
So, well
ground
connected.
well connected, and there are a lot of street cars which you don't see often in US. Houston has a couple of lines, but the street cars in Canada is like different level. Like you might see more number of streetcars or buses than in US. The
Okay.
connections are very crazy and nice.
Nice. That means that it's good and safe for the travel as well, right?
Yeah, and you don't need a car, uh, but the transportation, the buses will look exactly like US. The
Mhm.
scenarios are the same. You get the free transfers up to 2.5 hours. It's basically, or 1.5 hours is basically you get the free transfer if you board into any of those. So the transportation will look like US, but probably much crowded and yeah, the crowd is huge in Toronto. That's what I felt. Or maybe I completely forgot how Chicago used to be. So
Yeah, that could be one of the thing as well. Like
yeah,
you have moved out of Chicago like more than three and a half years back then.
3 years. But
Yeah.
again, even in Chicago, I used to travel in odd times. So
Yeah.
since we have a free bus, we used to travel in odd times. We know the peak times, so we try avoid going out at the peak hours.
So you because you're staying in Toronto downtown, do you have all the amenities nearby, such as bank or restaurants,
Yeah,
those kind of
pretty
things?
much everything is like 10 minutes walk. My office is 15 minutes. That's the longest walk probably I needed for anything. Indian store is 10 minutes. Banks is like 5 minutes. The Service Ontario, where you need to, that's the government office where you need to get the government and things, anything like license or anything else. That's like 5 minutes away. Uh,
Walk, you mean?
yeah, walk. The
Oh,
lake is 15 minutes away. The lake beaches are. So it's pretty much everything is walkable. I mean, you can walk or you can walk 3 minutes and take a bus or take a cycle ride. It's all very close. I prefer walking. If you take bus, like, I think that bus will take exactly 7 minutes and your walk will take 8 minutes. So
8 minutes. Okay.
I'm not going to save anything.
That's good. That's good. Like that's a well connected city, and you are, I think, in one of the best places in Toronto.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, obviously it's
Everything is closely connected, right? Is the English spoken in Toronto similar to the English spoken in US? I mean, we do have accents, different accents, but I'm
I mean, the
just
accents are
talking on a
different.
high level.
The accents are different, but here people follows a lot of British English as well.
Okay.
I mean, it is a British colony for a longer time, and I think it's still under British monarchy, if I'm not wrong.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
the Canada, so not yeah. I think the monarchy has some stakes in the
Okay.
Canada. So a lot of you see a lot of influence on the British English, and your TV channels actually telecast more British programs than in US.
Oh, okay.
You'll find a lot of British movies and Brits shows in the TV channels than we used to see in US. US, you'll see a couple of movies here and there, but shows, I don't think so. You will see other very much shows other than it is if it's produced by, American production house. But here it's a very common.
So, do you think the English spoken in Canada is closer to the British accent than to the US accent?
I'm not able to tell. It's very mixed. Like
Mhm.
it's mixed of English, it's mixed of British, it's mixed. I mean, sorry, it's mixed of US English, it's mixed of British English. I'm seeing Indian Englishes as well. Haha.
Oh, yeah. Wherever you go in the world, you will
uh,
always find Indian English over
yeah,
there.
Indian English, Australians. I'm seeing Australian accent, but a lot of French mixed English. I can see. I see some people like they are completely French. They're trying to come to Toronto and try to speak English. You can easily tell. The first question you're like, "Are you from QUEBEC?" Yeah, I can see.
You can easily understand
You
where
can easily, yeah. Like the same thing I had in Houston. Like you see a lot of Spanish people coming to Houston and try to speak English, and you can easily tell they are not native English speaking. I mean, I'm not native. You're not native. You people still easily find us, but you can tell they are like not. The English is completely different. But I don't see that's a hazel or a hard. And especially, I mean, you live in US, go to anywhere. I think your English can be easily. you can easily talk with people thanks to Hollywood taking their English to
Yeah, it's well connected
everywhere.
to Hollywood. Okay, moving on to the next question. So, is the healthcare in Canada more expensive? How does the medical insurance and things like that look when you compare it with US?
I mean, the healthcare is free. It's not.
Free?
Yeah, it's free. I mean, that doesn't mean that you don't need the insurance. You still need an insurance, but if you don't have insurance, the government will cover. If you come
Okay.
here for an education or you're coming for a work, I think it's mandatory for a company to give out health insurance for you. And they provide me health insurance. I pay $25 a month, I guess. Yeah, $25 a month. That includes my dental. And it's 25 Canadian dollars, which means like 20 US dollars.
20 US dollars or something.
That includes my health, vision, and dental.
Oh, nice.
Plus
You
some benefits.
probably need to spend like at least $100 if you were in US for those
I
three.
mean, it depends on which company and what insurance plan you're taking. The same insurance plan, if I take in US, probably, yeah, that's true. More than $100 I would spend.
Yeah.
Plus here, there is nothing, there is no terms called deductibles or out of packet terms. There is nothing,
Oh, there's no deductible or out of pocket at all?
there is nothing called out
Wow.
of. But how soon you can get an appointment? That's the question here.
Oh,
I tried to visit a primary care in Houston last month. It took for me almost 35 days to get a primary care, but that's the doctor I want.
mhm.
But if I want immediately, I might have got someone. But the doctor I want took 35 days. But similarly, if
Oh,
you have a preferred doctor here, I don't know how long it will take and uh, how many doctors are taking the new patients, ready to take new patients. That's also very
another
hard.
question. Yeah.
So it's we don't there are so much population that came in like in the past few years, but the hospitals and the Medicare is not enough to accommodate all, I guess. So it's pretty hard to find the doctors. I mean, emergency is always a situation like you can easily find the doctors, but I think if you try to go for a primary care or for a skin, let's say you want to see a dermatologist, and if you think you want to see tomorrow, that will never happen.
That
Like,
will.
wait for 30 days, at least or 40 days. Or if you get in 45, 50 days, that's great.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think the insurance makes a lot of difference here.
But the emergency services would still be available, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can still go to urgent care or emergency care. They will still try to get you treated. uh, I mean, it's all, end of the day, it's all covered in your insurance. I think the insurance might have the higher limit, how much you can spend per day or something like that. Uh, Anything above that you might spend out of your packet, but even if you spend out of your packet, that won't be higher than $20-30.
Okay.
See, I had a good insurance back in US. I went to doctor once, but I still ended up paying $300 to $400 outside my packet above my insurance, which is
Understandable.
so compared to this, Medicare is much simpler, straightforward, easier,
Okay.
but
That's great.
harder so to get a doctor.
Nice. Okay, moving on to the next question. So, how is the banking sector? Is it like similar to US?
Kind of, and not, I might say. I mean, the banking structure is similar. It has savings, checkings account, but in order, if you compare the benefits, I think it's way lesser. That is basically there is no much benefits in the banking sector. Like if you open a US based credit account, you might get a 0% promotional 0% APR for.
0% APR, some kind of
And
promotional
there is
offers.
no 0% APRs in Canada.
Oh,
And there are certain credit cards which needs you to be, for example, I own a Amazon Prime credit card in US, which you can't get in Canada unless you are a citizen or permanent resident. Either you need to hold a PR or a citizenship to get those type of credit cards.
What
So there
about the
are
other offers? Like there are some credit cards in US exclusively for travel or like exclusively for
yeah, there are credit
sports, these kind of.
cards. Uh, those kind of credit cards as well. There are like Air Canada credit cards, or I might see Amex Platinum Gold is still there, but you can use it for your transportations, for
Is it the
flights.
same benefits as US?
No, the benefits are probably half of what US gets.
Oh,
US gets much bigger benefits. And the amount of cashbacks you earn as well. Like if you get a cashback based credit cards, US is very straightforward, and you might be able to cash out a lot than the American Canadian ones. Uh, but from the banking, like pure banking, there is no Zelle, but rather they call it as Intrac something. But that takes more than 30 minutes sometimes to get transferred. Zelle is like
oh,
zapped. Or
zealous,
even in
just like
India,
this,
yeah, even in India, UPI is zip zap.
just like
So
this.
feel little backward coming from India and US to compare that. But other than that, I don't see much issues. The only difference is probably uh, your benefits. Like in US, if you get your salary into your checking account, you don't need to maintain your minimum balance.
Right.
Like, that's nothing like that here. You need to still minimum your maintain your you need to maintain your minimum balance, even if you get your salary account. Otherwise, they will charge a monthly fee. But again, there are some promos. If you are new to the country, they might give you 1 year exempt
Fine.
from those charges.
Nice. That was great information, lot of information. And it will definitely be helpful for anyone who are looking for Canada as an option.
Uh, I mean, if you come here and for someone who's going to visit US a lot, you can open a US savings account directly here, I guess, with Canadian banks.
Oh,
For example, I have a bank account with Scotia Bank. You can have a US dollar account as well, savings account. That will be directly, I think they have partnership with the Bank of America, and they
oh,
your American dollars here.
nice.
So, but uh, but if you're trying to exchange your American dollars, don't do it with banks. It's way cheaper. I lost more than $100 in transfer on trying
Oh,
to
gosh.
convert. I should have done with Wise or Remitly,
Yeah.
but I withdrew 3,000 US dollars. Came here, try to exchange that to Canadian dollar, which is very bad idea to do that.
Oh,
That's
I
why.
get it. But yeah, thanks for giving that information. It's very helpful.
And if you hold a US credit history, I think that will impact your Canadian credit history as well, but not
Oh, is it?
for the first time. When you try to get a credit card,
Mhm.
your SIN number, like SSN, there, here they call it a social identification number, SIN number, that you need to get it even before starting a bank account or get a credit card,
Okay.
obviously. I think when I applied my first credit card, there was a they run through my US SSN, which I never provided my details. I think probably through my passport, my previous visa, they able to get my US credit history as well. I
Oh,
guess because in my US credit report, I'm seeing there is a credit inquiry happening from Canadian credit bureaus.
oh, so probably they are like linked or
So
something. Yeah.
yeah, so when you come from US, probably maintain a good credit report. Otherwise,
Yeah, I don't mess around with your credit history.
yeah, otherwise you might not get your credit card or anything basically here.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much, bro. That was a lot of information. So, moving on to the next question. This is a fun question. So, you were in India and then you were used to kilometers, liters, and all those kind of things. You came to US and those got switched to gallons or and miles, right? And now you are in Canada. So, it again got switched back to kilometers and liters, right? So, how does it feel?
Not hard, but so when I came from India to US, it was hard for me. Like try to understand what is a mile, because your mind knows, oh, okay, it's 100 kilometers. It takes 1.5 hours to travel from my place to the point A to point B in India. Uh,
Right.
More than 100 kilometers will take 1.5 hours. Then you come to US, 100 kilometers. Then you make the math. Okay, 1.6. Okay, that's like almost a 60 to 65 miles. But you go that in 1 hour. That means let's you calculate all those.
Right.
Right now, I'm coming back to the kilometers. I'm doing the ulta of those. Like if people say 100 kilometers and it takes 1.5 hours, I know it's still the same time as what it takes in India, but I still do the math like, oh my God, it's a 65 miles. If I have a car and drive in US, it takes only 1 hour. Why it taking 1.5 hours in Canada? Probably the speed limit is same, but
Speed
the
limit
traffic,
says.
the traffics are much higher.
So when
Speed
you
limit
say
is
same, do you mean the number? Because speed limit,
no,
let
no.
us say 45, that's
That
miles
will
per
be
hour, right?
convert that to kilometer,
Yeah,
70
yeah, yeah,
kilometers.
converted value, not the exact number, right?
Not the exact number. Uh, I I think you it will be very easier for you if you especially lived in both the countries. But if you're coming directly from India, probably it will be very easier for you to
It's same,
get
right?
along. It's the
Yeah.
same because you don't see miles. You never heard of miles probably here, and pounds you never heard of. But there are pounds. I think the pounds they still measure by pounds as well, but it's not very common.
Okay.
But you still see the prices in pounds as well, like 1 pound, $5, then 1 kilogram, $11. You'll still see that prices,
Uh-huh.
but I think the kilograms. I'll do the reverse now.
Reverse.
Yeah, the
Switch
gallons.
back to your
Yeah,
Indian mind now.
and you don't see the gallons very easily here. It will be put like 1.5 liters, 2 liters. You'll be thinking, how much is 1.5 liters? Is it a half a gallon? No, it's not a half a gallon. 1.8 is half a gallon. I'll be like, okay.
Nice.
Because I used to buy stuffs in these measurements and the prices which I used to pay. And I'm trying to see if both countries have similar pricings.
Okay.
Like 1 pound of tomatoes if US is $1, and if you do the same $1 here for a pound, that means you get it for cheaper because
Yes,
the
yes.
value of Canadian dollars is lesser.
Yeah.
So I try to do that math, but I think I'll get used to it. I almost got used to it because you when you pay $35 for a meal in US, that means that's too much for a single person.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, here,
$35 would be new norm over there, right? Like,
yeah, 30 to 30. 30 is pretty not normal. Normal is somewhere 18 to 20, whereas in US it's 12 to 13.
yeah.
And if you go to Indian restaurants, it's 18 to 20. Here it's 25 to 30. So, but if you convert everything back, it's probably the same price what you pay in US or sometimes cheaper than US. The Indian stuffs are way cheaper.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, the Indian groceries are way cheaper than US.
Nice.
The rice bags, how much right now? What do you
I
go?
think in US, the rice bag, at least in the place that I stay, they're closer to Seattle, Greater Seattle, it is around $20 for like 10 to 15 pounds of rice bag. That's how expensive it has become.
20 pounds Sona Masuri Lakshmi, which used to
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
26.99, I guess, Canadian dollars, which is
Oh.
less than 20, let's say 20 US dollars.
Hmm.
Probably cheaper. The Indian stuffs are much cheaper. The Indian
Okay.
groceries are much cheaper, but the food is still uh, same price.
Okay. That's good though, right? Like, and do you have like the same level of options? Like, do you have all the food options that of
Almost.
Indian food options?
Yeah. The brands I see little different brands which I never heard of, but I don't see some of the brands from US as well. There are some local brands, but there are some brands which I see from US getting imported here as well, and there are some Canadian brands as well. I see everything, but the accessibility is much easier. Like in US, you will find Indian stuffs very rarely in a American grocery. or in Costco, you might see a couple of things. But it's very common here. Even if you go Walmart, you will see one whole aisle is for Indian stuffs. You go
Oh,
to Canadian groceries, you see one whole aisle for Indian stuffs. From dal to rice to snacks, probably more snacks. Like I have a small convenience store opposite. They sell a lot of Indian snacks and
is it?
chapatis.
And
Like,
you are in Toronto downtown.
yeah. So
Uh,
you basically get into any convenience store, you can easily find chapatis, rotis, naans, butter chicken masala, frozen stuffs easily.
Nice
So
one. Like not much different, at least in terms of availability. Not much
availability is
different.
easier, much
Easier.
easier.
Yeah.
Like yeah, because if I want to buy something, I need to go to Indian store
Right.
in
Over
US.
there, you can buy it in any store, right?
Probably any store, but again, it's available in a lot of store. That means whenever I'm going to my office, coming back, I'll just buy a couple of things every day, so that I don't need to go like for a one-time big shopping, which I still do, but I can avoid those.
Nice. So I have one last final question for you. Have you seen maple leaves?
I
Because
mean,
you are in Canada. Have you seen maple
in
leaves?
the flags, yes, I might have. I'm not sure. I never noticed or never tried to go find maple leaves. I might have seen. I'm not sure. But maple leaf is very you can see that name everywhere in the city.
Yeah.
Like wherever you turn, you see Maple Leaf Lodge, Maple Leaf Cinemas,
The
Maple Leaf.
flag has maple leaves.
Yeah,
The flag of Canada
the,
has maple leaves.
the Air Canada's launch name is Maple Leaf Lodge, or club is Maple Leaf Club, I guess. So the Maple Leaf, the name Maple Leaf, you find it everywhere, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure you can. I at least I never tried to notice if this leaf is maple leaf or not. So that's a good question. Probably I should try to find out. See what happens.
No, you will eventually. Yeah.
Probably. I have no idea how common it is. That's so bad.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And I'm really, really happy for you that you're doing great over there. Hopefully, much better than what how you were doing in US. And yeah, I mean, all the information that you have given in this particular podcast was amazing. I learned a lot about Canada, and also you have given such a useful information to people who want to come to Canada, probably might also take some of that information that you have given in this podcast. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vandadi, for having me in your show.
Yeah,
So,
and by the way, before we finish off, like Darun, so my name is Abhishek, right? Like everyone calls me Abhishek, but Darun is one person who calls me Vandadi, and my channel's name is Vandadi's Diary, right? People call me Abhishek or Abhi, but you are the only person who calls me Vandadi,
yeah, I don't know.
right? So,
Probably a lot of Abhisheks in my contact. So easy to call
yeah,
you one daddy and
see,
say
yeah,
this one daddy.
yeah, and I have put that my surname as my channel name just to make sure that it is unique. Abhishek is a very common name, so I just wanted it to be little unique, and I put one daddy. And you are the literally the only person whom I know who calls me with that name. And rest of everyone calls me either Abhishek, Abhi, AB, or something like that. My American friends call me AB. But yeah, that's really one unique thing about our friendship that I thought would be good if I share it here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Darun, and I hope this is not the last time we meet here.
Yeah, sure. Probably I might come back to you soon, pretty soon,
Yeah.
to visit at least.
Yeah, definitely. Oh,
I always introduce that reactions now. Like if you give a thumbs up, it will also give thumbs up. But if you do this, you'll see hearts coming up. But I think it's
yeah.
working.